All right, lift off and the clock has started.
Hey everyone, tomdune here, and welcome to something a little bit different for my channel, a Kerbal Space Program video. Yes, like most other YouTube space content creators out there, I too am drawn in by the marvel that is KSP. Now, if you do watch my main UK space news videos, you'll know that I like to educate and inform about all things British spaceflight, and you'll also know that we are eagerly awaiting the historic first launch of a rocket from UK soil by Virgin Orbit at Spaceport Cornwall. Now, it does seem like we've been waiting forever for this launch, which is becoming more and more like Artemis 1 with every passing day, thanks to some lovely traditional British bureaucratic red tape, courtesy of the UK Civil Aviation Authority. Thanks guys. So I wanted to do a bit of a deep dive into this launch, and I thought what better way to do that than via the majesty of KSP. So today we're not sitting here at the Kerbal Space Centre, no, we're here at Spaceport Cornwall for the first flight of a horizontally launched rocket from Kerbish soil. Anywho. Now, do stick around to the end because we may just do something a little bit different to the real life launch. On the tarmac you can see my somewhat faithful recreation of Cosmic Girl, the converted Boeing 747-400 used by Virgin Orbit, with Launcher 1 strapped to the underside of the left wing. Standing proudly beside his craft is pilot Matthew Kerman. Of course, the real-life chief pilot is RAF Flight Lieutenant Matthew Stanny Stannard. Today he'll be joined by a special engineer, who we'll see later on. As we see now, Cosmic Girl's ready and primed for takeoff, and guys, I have to tell you that this thing was, well, a challenge to fly. I haven't shown you the build because the video would end up being about 2 hours long, but suffice it to say that with the added mass of a two-stage rocket strapped to a wing, I had to make some adjustments to the design and takeoff control method. That pretty much involved shutting down and reactivating engine 4 a few times to keep it level, but hey, whatever works, yeah? But, as we see now, Cosmic Girl is thundering down the runway, heading in a westerly direction and out towards the near Atlantic Ocean, where the intended launch area is at around 35,000 feet. And there we have it! Yes, Cosmic Girl is off the ground and launch operations are now underway. We can now settle in for the flight and I can give you a rundown of the launch profile. While you're there, do give the video a like if you're enjoying it, and why not subscribe to the channel as well if you're interested in all the goings on from the UK space scene. Maybe I'll do some more KSP videos in future, who knows? Drop a comment below and let me know what you think. So, the intended flight plan is to reach the launch area, where Cosmic Girl will then circle the site in a racetrack pattern, which is expected to last between 19 and 30 minutes in order to ensure all systems on the aircraft and rocket are functioning nominally. Once these system checks are completed and the go is given for launch, Launcher 1 will enter the terminal count phase, similar to what we see with the Falcon 9 launches, where the rocket goes into an automatic launch sequence, concurrent with engineers on board Cosmic Girl and flight controllers split between Spaceport Cornwall and Virgin Orbit HQ in Long Beach, California. At this point, launch controllers will decide on whether to launch the rocket in either a northern or southern trajectory. The northern trajectory sees Launcher 1 heading up towards Iceland, and the southern takes it down towards Portugal. When the terminal count concludes, guys, Launcher 1 is released in the chosen trajectory and enters into a short freefall, giving Cosmic Girl just enough time to pitch up at 32.5 degrees and bank to one side, whereupon Launcher 1's first stage Newton 3 engine fires up and propels it skywards. Newton 3 is an RP1 LOX pump-fed engine, that's rocket propellant 1, a highly refined form of kerosene and liquid oxygen, and it's capable of delivering 300 plus kilonewtons of thrust, which will fire L1 towards space at roughly 8,000 miles an hour. Once stage 1 has expended its fuel, we get stage separation, and the stage 2 Newton 4 engine fires up. Newton 4 is also an RP1 LOX pump-fed engine, and it delivers about 22 kilonewtons of thrust, but this will mostly be firing in the vacuum of space, so that's not a figure to get hung up on. The interesting thing about the engines on Launcher 1 is that the bell nozzles are larger than you would typically see for a ground-launched rocket. Since there's less air pressure at higher altitudes compared to sea level, to squeeze the exhaust plume into something that fires in a straight, efficient line, the engine bells, they have to be wider and longer to offer the same effects. It's all about pressure, guys. Additionally, the Newton 4s are capable of firing multiple times in flight, and that will be needed, as we'll soon see, for final altitude corrections, orbital insertion, and deorbit burns. And now we can see inside the cockpit, and what a marvellous job Matthew Kerman is doing. But wait, look who it is! It's our special guest! Yes, that's right, it's Sir Richard Kerman! The eccentric billionaire entrepreneur has decided that flying in Virgin Galactic's maiden flight wasn't quite good enough for him, and he wanted to hop along on this flight too. Oh, just what will he do next? Now, for those that don't know, as I previously mentioned, Cosmic Girl is a converted former passenger-carrying Boeing 747-400. It once took to the skies carrying ordinary folks like you and I across the Atlantic, and there's a good chance that when you watch the old girl on its maiden UK flight, you might be watching something you've actually flown in if you've ever taken a Virgin Atlantic flight on a holiday to the USA. Hooray for Disneyland! Of course, she's now a literal shell of her former self, but doesn't she look good? So, you may have noticed the quote-unquote addition to the right wing on my recreation. Yes, that's a solid rocket booster that I had to put there to balance the damn thing out, because honestly, without it, it does have a tendency to roll rather dramatically to the left. But hopefully I've shot this footage well enough so that you can mostly ignore it. And I have sped it up quite a bit, the footage, because the whole flight took about an hour to complete, and I'm pretty sure that you don't want to sit around for quite that long, considering how many Kerbal Space Program videos are out there that you could probably fit in that time. So, as we approach the launch area, we're going to complete our racetrack pass and carry out those final checks before we light this puppy. As you can see, it might be lacking in grace, but you do get the idea. Now, for the purposes of KSP, 8,000-ish feet will serve as our 35,000 foot analog mark, and that will give us a good rough guide for the final ascent. Well, that's the pass and system checks complete, and we are now in terminal count, ladies and gentlemen. One final look over the rocket and we can count this sucker down to launch. 3, 2, 1, go! Oh my god, what a beautiful release. And Cosmic Girl banks away to make a return to Spaceport Cornwall after a job well done. Tea and medals await for sure for Matthew and Sir Richard, so jolly good show, chaps. As you can see, we had a successful firing of that Newton 3 first stage engine, and we are ascending beautifully towards the heavens. So this would be a good time to discuss the payload on this flight. Launcher 1's capable of putting 300 kilogram payloads into sun-synchronous orbit, and for the real-life mission, L1 will carry 100 kilograms worth of payload to an SSO at around 550 kilometers in altitude. The payload consists of 8 small satellites from different countries, some of whom are actually launching satellites into space for the very first time, including Oman and Wales, but more on them shortly. For our purposes today, we'll be deploying a single satellite, just to give you an idea. Now, that first stage engine has served its purpose, and we're at the edge of space, guys. Stage separation's good, and we can fire up that second stage Newton 4 engine to take it the rest of the way. We eject the fairings and we can see the payload sitting nicely atop what's left of the rocket. But wait, what's that? Are those landing legs? Aha! Yes, you see, here in the world of KSP, we're going to attempt to go one better than the Branson rocket and recover the upper stage. You see, guys, it's got some fancy new technology aboard that Sir Richard Kerman would really rather like back, so stay tuned to see how that goes. So, Stage 2 is carrying the payload nicely in orbit around Kerbal, burning proapsis towards our apoapsis. So, what's the real mission going to put into space? Well, I'll tell you. Like I said, there will be 8 small satellites from different countries around the world. We start with the IOD-3 Amber, developed by Satellite Applications Catapult and Horizon Technologies, built by AAC Clyde Space, all based in the UK. Amber is expected to be the first of more than 20 Amber satellites that will provide space-based maritime domain awareness data to users. We also have Prometheus 2, which are 2 CubeSats owned by the UK Ministry of Defence. These satellites were co-funded with the Airbus Defence and Space line, designed jointly with in-space missions. They will focus on development of ground systems. We also have Circe, which is the Coordinated Ionospheric Reconstruction CubeSat Experiment. What a mouthful. It's part of a joint mission between the UK's Defence Science and Technology Lab as well as the US Naval Research Lab. Next, we have Dover, developed by the RIA Group in the UK. It's actually the company's first satellite in its 30-year history. 30 years, guys, it's taken them to build a satellite and get it launched to space. This one's being co-funded by the European Space Agency's navigation program, and it was built by Open Cosmos, built in the UK. It's a small satellite that was created as a pathfinder for resilient global navigation satellite systems. Next up, we have the Forge Star Zero, developed by Space Forge of Wales. This is a really interesting satellite because it's fully returnable and reusable, and it's designed to enable in-space manufacturing. This launch will be the first for Forge Star, and it will test future returns from space tech. Next up, we have Aman, which is the first orbital mission by the country of Oman. It's a single Earth observation satellite meant to demonstrate future feasibility of a larger constellation, was developed in a memorandum of understanding between the Sultanate of Oman and Satrev, who are based in Poland. Then we have the Tuatara satellite, which is also from Oman, and it was developed by their emerging tech innovator ETCO. So between the two of them, agreements are in place for additional small satellites, but these two are going to be the first in Oman's history. And last but not least, we have the Stork 6, which is the next installment of Polish small satellite manufacturer Satrev's Stork constellation. Interestingly enough, Virgin Orbit previously launched 2 of their small satellites as part of the constellation, and they will be continuing to launch future satellites for Satrev in upcoming missions. As you can see, guys, the satellite's been successfully deployed, so that's a job well done. We can now carry out our deorbit maneuver to place stage 2 for a return to near Spaceport Cornwall. And okay, maybe I decided to land this thing because when I built it, I went a teensy bit overboard with the amount of Delta V left over with that second stage fuel tank. Or, maybe it is the tech thing, but either way, there we have it, guys. We have landed somewhat on our side. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is a success and completes our recreation of the Start Me Up mission with an added non-explosive bonus. Hey, so what did you think of this video? Do you want more KSP content? It could be educational or just me larking around building cool stuff. I do like a dropship or two. Let me know, guys. Maybe check out my other UK space news videos as well. I do try and put up some of the most interesting news topics from the UK space scene. But hit me up in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, consider subscribing to the channel, and tick that bell to get notifications for more content, including the latest UK space news as it comes out. Until next time, guys, I've been Tom Dune. Thanks for watching.